Hello everyone, you're welcome back to my channel. If you're joining this channel for the first time, kindly hit subscribe button, comment, like and share to others. Today we want to discuss Excel mathematical operation for cost accountant. Business organization exists to provide goods and services at a profit in order to ascertain the amount of profit earned at the end of the transaction period. Business organization needs to manage and analyze all financial data that are related to the transaction period. In this episode, we are going to use Excel mathematical operation to determine total cost of a product, unit cost, selling price, total profit, notional profit, and many more. But before we move to our Excel sheet, let's discuss what cost is all about. Cost is an amount of expenditure incurred on or attributable to a specific production, service, or activities. Basically, cost can be classified variously for different objectives, such as 1. Classification according to element. 2. Classification according to nature. 3. Classification according to function. 4. Classification according to behavior. 5. Classification according to controllable and uncontrollable, and classification of cost as relevant and irrelevant, while we have other classification of cost. But for the purpose of this episode, we are going to dive into this cost classification according to element and nature. Cost according to element. Under the cost according to elements, these can be divided into three: material, labor, and expenses. Material, these are the cost of material or commodity other than the fixed asset that are introduced in the production process, while labor are the physical and mental effort of human in the production process. Expenses are the cost other than material cost and the labor cost. For example, royalty payments, copyright, the patents, utility, electricity, water rate, rent, etc. 2. Cost according to nature. Under the cost according to nature, we have direct costs. These are the costs that can be directly identified and charged to a cost unit without apportioning. That is, these are the costs that can be traced to a particular unit of production, such as direct material cost, direct labor cost, and direct expenses. And these direct costs can also be called prime costs. Secondly, under cost according to nature, we have indirect costs. Indirect costs are costs that cannot be identified with and allocated to a cost unit, but that has to be apportioned to a number of cost center and further absorbed by cost unit. That is, these are the costs that cannot be traced to a particular unit of production. Under this indirect cost, we have indirect material, indirect labor, we have indirect expenses. This indirect cost can also be called overhead. Overhead. So now you have to understand this, that under the cost according to nature, we have direct cost and the indirect cost. Direct cost is also known to be the prime cost, and under this prime cost, we have direct material, we have direct labor, and we have direct expenses. And under this indirect cost, which is also called overhead cost, we have indirect materials, then we have indirect labors, then we have indirect expenses. Now, what are the examples of indirect materials? Indirect materials, these are the cost of materials item that cannot be identified with any particular product because they are used for the benefit of all products rather than for any one specific product. For instance, lubrication oil, consumable tools, cost of stationaries, etc. While indirect labor costs, these are the wages of employees who do not work on the product itself, but who assist in the manufacturing process, such as salaries of factory supervisors, such as wages of store department employees, we have wages of cleaners, etc. Then the next one, which is indirect expenses, these are the expenses that are incurred in general and not for the production of a specific cost unit. For instance, we have selling and distribution expenses such as advertisement, salesman salaries, we have delivery expenses, etc. Under these indirect expenses as well, we have administrative expenses such as stationaries, audit fees, salaries, etc. So now, as a result of this, we are going to show us the cost sheet as a cost accountant. You need to understand the fact that we have material, that is direct material, direct labor, and the direct expenses in order to determine the total direct cost or prime cost. Having done that, we need to consider the factory overhead, which are the indirect costs that needs to be added back to the direct cost or prime cost. Then that will result to production cost of or factory cost. Then after that, we can now consider other indirect costs, which are administrative costs, selling and distribution costs. And by the time we now added it back, then we now are going to result that we now resulted to total cost. All these business organizations, they are into business for profit oriented in order to realize profit. So now after the total cost, what you have to do next is to add the profit back to the total cost in order to arrive at revenue. Now let's move to the spreadsheet. All right, you're welcome back again. Now, the first thing that I'm going to do here is that I want to show you how you can import your data set into your spreadsheet. So I'll come to the file, I'll click on the file, then I'll come to open, I'll click on browse in order to select the folder. So my folder, let me locate it. It's on desktop, then I'll click on AS, I'll open AS, then I want to use data set. So I'll just click it. So now, as you can see that we have large volume of data set. This is a case study of a bottling company that deals with many products. And then as you can see, the large volume of this data set, we have different products here. We have Fanta, 7-Up, Biggie Cola, Coca-Cola, Fresho, Hollandia. So now, and then they provided the unit produced for each product. Then we have unit production cost. Then we have operating expenses and we have revenue. Now, with this data set, we are going to determine production cost, total cost, unit cost, total profit, unit profit, which is also known to be the notional profit. Then we'll determine the selling price of all these products. So now you can see that we have large volume of data sets, large volume of data sets. Now let's start one after the other. The first requirement here is that we want to know the total production cost. Remember that before you can determine your total production cost, it means that you have to add the direct cost with your factory cost. I would now, that is direct cost with your overhead cost. But in this data set, we have units produced, then we have unit production cost. So now, before we can have the production cost, total production cost for all these products, then we need to multiply 270 units by 420 naira. So now that is, we need to apply our multiplication here. So for you to apply your multiplication on Excel, you need to start with equal to. Are you there now? So now, whenever you want to make use of the formula function on Excel, then you have to start with equal to. So I'll press my equal to. Then I can now move my mouse, or you can use your arrow, then use your left arrow to the unit produced. Then what I have to do next here is that I'll hold my shift and press asterisk, which is uh 8. I will then number 8 on your keyboard. So now I'll just press 8 without releasing my shift. Then the next thing is to locate the second cell because we want to multiply two cells. I will then so now I'll just move my mouse again. That is, I'll just use my arrow and then move it to unit production cost. Then I'll press enter. So it means that the production cost of 7 Up is 113,400. So then, and I want to determine the production cost for other products as well. Then all I have to do here is just to move my mouse to the edge of this, and once it's changed, then I'll just double tap in order to repeat the same function for all these products. Then let's move to the second one, which will be the total cost. That is the total cost. And remember from our previous explanation that we said before you can determine your total cost, you need to know your prime cost and your overhead cost. And by adding it together, that will be the total cost of that product. Now, when I look at this data set, we have uh, we have product cost already. Is that not our which is 113,400 for 7 Up. Then what we need to consider will be our other indirect costs, which is operating cost here. And then so, which means that what we have to do here is that we need to add this production cost plus operating expenses. So I have to start with my equal to again. I'll come back to this, then press equal to. I'll locate the first cell, which is production cost, then plus. In order to apply my plus, I'll hold my shift key, then I'll press equal to key on your keyboard. So then I'll now move to the second cell, which is operating expenses. That is by adding our production cost plus other indirect cost. So that will result to our total cost. So I'll just press enter. So it means that the production cost for 7 Up is 166,400. Now, in order to ascertain the remaining, then I have to come back to this cell. Then I'll double tap so that Excel can repeat the same formula for other products as well. Then the next requirement here is that we have to determine the unit cost. Unit cost. When you look at this data set, we have unit produced, then we have unit production cost. But what they want us to determine here is the unit cost, which is quite different to that of unit production cost. And for us to determine our unit cost, that will be the same as total cost divided by unit produced. Guess that. It means that we want to apply division sign here. So I'll start with equal to sign. Then I have to locate the first cell, which is the total cost. And uh, I want to apply division. So now when you just check your keyboard, you will see slash there. So now just press the slash and then locate the second cell, which is units produced. Then I'll click enter. So it means that unit cost for 7 Up is 616 naira 30 kobo. So I'll just come back to the cell, then I'll double tap again in order to repeat the same thing for other products. So then the next one here, they said that we should determine total profit. I will now, and then before we can determine our total profit, that will be the difference between the revenue realized and the total cost incurred. I repeat the statement. For you to determine total profits of all these products, then we need to deduct total cost incurred from revenue realized. So what we're saying here is that we want to apply our minus. I will then also, I have to start with equal to again. I will select the first cell, which is the revenue, and then I will have to apply minus sign, then press your hyphen key, which is between 0 and equal to. So now I have to press that hyphen, then I'll locate the second cell, which will be the total cost. Then I press my enter. So it means that the total profit for this product, which is 7 Up, worth 70,600. So now let us generate for other product as well. So I'll just double tap then, and then The next one here is that they said we should determine unit profit, which is also known to be the notional profit, that is profit on each unit. So what I have to do here is that I have to divide the total profit by unit produced. So what I have to do is that I'll use my equal to kill again. I'll locate the first cell, I will there now, which is cell L4, then I'll apply my division sign again, then I'll locate the second cell, which is cell E4, then I'll press enter. So unit profit now for 7 Up is 261 naira 48 kobo. So let us ascertain for the remaining product. So now the next one here, we want to determine our selling price. That is what we want to determine, our selling price. So now if they are realizing 261 naira 48 kobo on 7 Up, then what is the selling price of this product? So now what we have to do here is that we need to divide units produced by the revenue. Look at this. Have you seen it? This is. That is the first step. You can divide this revenue by the unit produced, or you can add your total cost per unit plus unit profit. Are you there now? Either of the two. Let's try it. Now, either I want to use equal to, I'll locate my revenue divided by the unit produced, which is cell E4, then I'll press enter. So now when you look at this, it shows that uh selling price per unit here is 877 naira 78 kobo. Or I can use equal to, then I'll come to this total cost per unit, that is unit cost, then I'll apply my plus, then I'll come back to unit profit. So can you see that? Can you see that? So now either of the two, it can either be you have to divide this revenue by the unit produced, or you will add your unit cost plus your unit profit. So let me just generate for other products. So I'll just double tap. So now, as you can see, from this Excel mathematical operation, we have calculated the cost, that is total cost of all these products. Look at this. Within short period of time, look at this. We generated all these requirements, starting from total cost, unit cost, total profit, unit profit, selling price. Look at this. Look at how we solve these requirements within short period of time by using Excel mathematical operation. If you have gained value from this episode, kindly hit subscribe button, like, comment, and share to others. See you in the next episode. Save.